Okay, thank you. All right, please bow your head. Heavenly Father, we gather here today intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, guided by understanding and wisdom. We seek to serve with respect for all. May our personal faiths give us strength to act honestly and in all manners before us. In your name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Campos.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, do you have any public comments?
We have a different Homero today, but no one has signed up to make public comments about any posted agenda items, sir.
All right, and at this time, we'll consider approval of Southwest High School FFA overnight trips to Dallas.
Yes, sir, we normally bring all these trips to the board in September. This happens to be one of those trips that will schedule prior to that, so we wanted to bring this one separate, and then we'll bring all of our CTE back at the regular September board meeting.
Okay.
But this is a annual thing that the FFA is involved in to get students outside the perimeter of Bexar County and to compete in Dallas, Houston, and other areas. So
I move. Have a motion? And a second. Any questions, board members? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, now we'll go into closed session. As permitted by sections 551.001 through 551.146 of the Texas Government Code. Time is for 11:32. Back to order 1207, item number 6.
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel. I second.
Your motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side. Motion passes. Item 5A, HB 4545 update.
Yes, so before I turn it over to Ms. Garcia, I just like the board to know we have 4 items that we thought were timely and sensitive and more information coming out. And 3 of those items are directly linked to our curriculum and instruction department. We're going to have staff deliver some information, and we have one coming out of administration and human resource department in the area of evaluation. So I'll turn it over to Galila on our House Bill 4545 update. I know in the past we talked about flexibilities that we thought were coming for this law. As you know, this is a high impact tutoring law statute that's come out of the most recent legislation. But we also learned that flexibility in the special session did not make its way through to fruition. So we're basically back to HB 4545 today as originally written. So with that, I turn it over to Ms. Garcia. I think she will cover this part of the board meeting.
Yes, thank you. And so what we're bringing to the board this afternoon is just an update of some of the tools and some of the wraparound support that we are putting together for our campuses. Just like Dr. Rostov mentioned, we are being mindful of all the other work with this learning loss and COVID that we have to be able to accomplish this year. So we have been able to be putting together some good resources and some good tools for our campuses. So Ms. Lisa Bolti will be taking us through them. Thank you, Lisa.
Good afternoon, President Lasky and board members. So we're going to talk a little bit about some tools, as Talila said, that we have put together to support our campuses in their work with the 4545 mandates that we're bringing. Just to remind everyone, what House Bill 4545 put into effect is the first thing it did is it eliminated SSI, the Student Success Initiative. So We are no longer retaining students that are unsuccessful in STAR math or reading at grades 5 and 8. And it also created requirements and additional supports around accelerated instruction for all grades. So that's through high school for any student that's unsuccessful on their test, any subject. And then it also established learning committees for those students in grades 3, 5, and 8 that were unsuccessful in either math and or reading. And so it was 30 hours of tutoring for each subject the student was unsuccessful on, whether it was math, science, social studies, algebra, biology, English 1, English 2, U.S. history, any of the subjects. And we have quite a number of students that were unsuccessful or did not attempt the test last year, because the numbers of students that need tutoring not only include those who were unsuccessful, but those who did not attempt the test for whatever reason. So that's just a little reminder from last time. So the tools that we've put in place, we put a number of things in place to help campuses. The first thing we did is we generated 2 lists for each campus. So they had a very specific list of students that were requiring accelerated instruction, and we also designated on those lists which students needed to have a committee meeting. And then the second list took the math and reading for 3, 5, and 8, and we analyzed the data for the campuses and broke it down on which critical skills they would need to start with that student in the tutoring, so they can make those plans quickly and effectively. That was the first tool we gave the campuses. The second tool we've given the campuses is a planning tool, and they can use this planning tool, or if they had something else they prefer, they could use something else. But this planning tool helps them kind of map out how many students are going to be doing tutoring before school, during school, after school, Saturdays, so they can break it out and plan it out. And we have some checkpoints throughout the year. So we wanted them to have the meetings completed by the end of September. We gave them some flexibility with that so they could get that smooth start to the year. And then our first checkpoint we want to have with campuses is October 15th to see what their plan looks like and how they're doing with it, and if they need any assistance from central office. And then we'll have periodic checkpoints throughout the year to make sure they're on track and on target for completing the tutoring prior to the next testing administration in May. And if they're having any issues or struggling in any way, then we can step in and give them whatever assistance they require. The next tool we have is a tutoring log. So we designed this with Google Sheets, and this way the tutors can track their students, and they'll be able to print this out, paper copy if they need it. But when they click that submit button, that the information is actually going to go into a dashboard. So this dashboard, central office will be able to see this, and of course the principals and campus administration, so they can track where they're at, and they can actually filter this. So if they want to look at a specific student and see how many hours that specific student already had with tutoring, they can do that. How many does the student still need? They can look at minutes remaining. They can look by subject, so they can look at it several different ways. So this will help them with tracking. So these are the tools that we put in place so far to help our campuses achieve their goal of getting all the tutoring completed by May, hopefully. Any questions about the tools?
I have a question. The follow-up piece to this, is curriculum and instruction going to be monitoring this, and if so, how often?
So we have a timeline. So it's about every 6 weeks, we're going to check in and
Okay.
see how they're doing.
And if a campus is struggling, what's the game plan?
So right now, and even the initial game plan was by September, by the first Friday of September, which would have been this week, we wanted to already start the tutoring. After Labor Day, we wanted to just hit hard with the tutoring. But this year, due to the situation, what we are doing right now is we are lining up all the resources that are available for curriculum. And we've already met with ESSER teachers that are available during the daytime to provide this tutoring. And so we went ahead and outlined every single tutoring moment that is available.
Okay.
So whether they do it before school, during the daytime, after school, or even Saturdays, everything is, right now, has been listed. So the plan is that this year we just work through this optional plan. Right now it's optional because if campuses were created something else on worksheet or wherever the case, we want to be able to honor that plan, wherever they're documenting this plan. What we want to do is we still want to come back and look at that dashboard, and based on those dashboards, we're going to be able to see the numbers are moving. And so just like Dr. Russell mentioned, is this year, we're going to put our best effort forward, but in the coming year, we want to be able to perfect this plan in order for us to have a better ways for us to understand and see that every single student does need those 30 hours regardless. We
Right.
want to do what's best for the students. So in unequal, by looking at those numbers, we're looking at, for the secondary, we're looking at resources that we know that we might not have enough sufficient tutors to provide the tutoring hours. So we're looking at a virtual option that which the board went ahead and approved, that virtual company. So we're being mindful of, do they have the right resource when it comes to the human resource?
Right.
And also the resources from K through 8, we're good to go with the curriculum. It's now just the high school that we're just at the point of which vendor we're gonna be able to make that contract with.
Okay.
So you're saying they're using their own checklist? Are we having them put their information in this one also, so we have the information for the dashboard?
Yes, so this tutoring log is the one that we are asking for them to follow.
Yeah.
It's because right now there's nothing in place.
Yeah, so if they're just keeping information on their own,
Right.
but we want to see the actual, visual here, then you lose that information.
Right, so the tutor logs, that work was pretty much completed about maybe 2 weeks ago, just last week. We do have a person in central office going out to the campuses to provide them just how to manage the system. We're also creating some videos. So this way, if a new tutor comes in, new tutor gets hired, they can know how to manage themselves through the system. So in the end, the dashboard is going to be our big outlook of how this work is moving.
Dalila, I'm interested to know, and you can tell us when would be a good time at some point to say, okay, this is where we're at now. I would want to see, okay, how are we doing? Are most of the kids on track? Are most of the kids behind? When do you think would be a good time for you guys to report back to us?
Yes, if we go back to that timeline, we are still going to be following this timeline. So at any point during those checking points, now, let's say they do have 100 students per campus, and this is just throwing out a number. They have the entire year for them to be able to service the students. So at any point, they could be moving by percentages. So our goal is that they're moving 25% at a time. So at least 25% of the students are being, tapped into for the tutoring services to be provided. So we're looking at it, we divide the 100% by 25% from
Sure.
now till May, before the new assessment comes in.
Right.
We should be at a pretty good spending. So at any point, we can go ahead and come back and bring an update, or we can just bring an update to the subcommittee, where we're looking at December the 3rd, January the 28th. For sure, by April the 1st, we're gonna have some good numbers of where is 75% of that population at?
Right.
And so this way, from those numbers, we know how many students we're gonna have to plan summer school for as well.
Okay.
Probably
addition
the
to the
February
new
brown
assessment.
bag. February brown bag would be a good time.
I think
to do
that's
that.
kind of late. I mean, I would like to hear what is that, January 1st? Like in the middle of the school year, right? Where are we at? Right?
Yeah, well, that's actually October 15th, I think, is kind of that start deadline, and this thing is going to be a monstrosity, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is to divide and conquer.
Right.
So divide it out in campuses to then provide oversight. I will tell you, the majority of high schools don't have an internal plan like this that creates kind of oversight for the principal, oversight for curriculum and instruction, oversight for central office.
Yes.
We get the big numbers that we can kind of ask questions about.
Yeah.
I just don't know by December if it's going to be that far, but we can do it in December, we can do it in February, like every other
January, or
month.
even January, we get back, right?
Yeah.
Because the semester ends and the new semester starts, and kind of see where we're at. And just so that I can also understand, because sometimes y'all give us these really big plans, and we're like, oh, yeah, sounds great. And then you come back to us a year later, and okay, what was the plan, right? And this way we can kind of keep up with our understanding of it, and where we're at, and how we're getting there.
Yeah, we can definitely provide an update.
Thank you.
For that. Yes, ma'am.
The contract for the new virtual learning, is it gonna be, because there was 3 that we voted on,
Right.
and is that gonna be an add-on to that contract? Or is that another entity coming in to say, oh, we got, or is it part of those 3 that we voted on?
Right now, the only ones that we're allowed to meet with is the ones that have been approved through the RFP process. So we are only meeting with those vendors in order for us to find out. From the 3 of them, only 2 of them can serve as our secondaries, that we feel that is exactly what we would want for the secondaries to receive for services. So now we have these 2 vendors, we're meeting with them to make sure that it works out for what we want for our district.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Are there any other questions on that?
I would like to see, I guess, because they have the big breakup for like this, like 600, 300, I would like to see a school breakdown, see where it comes out with the numbers later on. Like, so right now I see the big numbers, but like you said, a lot of them didn't test. So we're gonna test like this coming right now this fall, and so the numbers are gonna whittle down just to see where maybe it was just because we didn't test, those numbers will drop drastically.
So we had that conversation this morning, and the average for secondary testing was like 85% in our district, which means 15% of 6,000 did not, which would be 900 students who qualify for high-impact tutoring based on the fact they didn't test. And then the students who did not meet success because the virtual environment didn't work or whatever. So, yeah, those numbers can be big, but we can provide to the board kind of a breakdown by campus grade level, so you guys can see those numbers as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
So our next item, Mr. President, is our early literacy update. I'm sure you guys can see behind you, there's some new decorations going on, and so I'm sure Jolita will reference those pictures.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Orsta. So I do appreciate the board, and the reason I really want to specify that is because this idea pretty much birthed, from you all. So we did have a committee meeting, and in the committee meeting was very specific of what are we doing different for our reading, specifically our libraries. And then the one smile that I'm missing up there is Ms. Ida Sadolkin, so we are missing your poster. But she did also mention how are we incorporating the parents, and that, some years ago we did have parents and volunteers coming in and reading to the campuses, so we're bringing that back again. So I do appreciate you being invested in the work that we're doing. And so here we're just bringing to you how we are doing some collaboration, based on that conversation that we had with the subcommittee in May, and then also some of the ideas that, happened here amongst us. We went back and we met and we had about 4 to 5 meetings with some librarians, and at the same time, we also joined the English Language Arts coordinators. So we met with the coordinators from central office that understand the TEKS. And so we did not only want to open up the libraries and continue to invest in our libraries, but we wanted to make sure that we were also investing with an end in mind that we need to close the gap that we have. And so as we know is that we can definitely open up. We've been talking about opening up our libraries in the morning, in the afternoon. And the big push right now is being able to find an initiative, something that is going to motivate the reading, and not only just for the kids inside the classroom, but also expanding this work all the way to the parents and the home and that home and school connection. So we're excited that from this, we are able to, just as you see your posters and your smiles behind you, we do have what we call Hear Me Read or Read With Me. And what we want to do is that we want to make sure that every single student has an opportunity to read to someone. So right now we know that due to our situation, our campuses are not 100% open, but we do have some adults in the building. But when they go home, they have an aunt, an uncle, a grandma, grandpa, somebody that they can read to. So we really want to push that piece for our students, that we want for them to be heard as they are reading. We want to just really push for this importance. So at the same time, we are pushing for that priority is at 3rd grade, that K1 and 2, even the lesson plans that librarians are going to be creating is going to be with the end in mind that TEKS is important. And so when we go to the library, we want to make sure that everybody's pretty much on the same place. So we have created a scope and sequence also for our libraries. So every single library will be teaching around the same concept, around the same needs across the district. And so we're also excited about that. And the libraries and the librarians have already begun the work. So although we do have, we are contemplating, and we will be bringing this to the board very, very soon, which is Accelerator Reader. We also have in mind that that is going to be an initiative, and our elementaries already have components of Accelerator Reader. And what this does is that it pretty much assesses the students and where their reading level is at. And then based on that reading, this is where then the students get an opportunity to check out a library book. But we also have in mind that we do want to give them that free choice, where we do want for them to love reading. We want to have that love of reading. And so we want to give them an opportunity for them to check out 2 books. And then 1 book specifically will be for us to move this work with Accelerator Reader. So we are also wanting for our classroom libraries to be ready for teachers to check out at least 25 books. And this will create that even classroom to library connection, that if they are teaching a specific genre based on their scope and sequence, then it's the teacher who can best know what the needs of the classrooms are. So then science teachers, social studies teachers, CTE teachers, you name it, anybody can go in there and select their own books and have their own classroom library. So on the bottom, we talk about reading centers. We have invested in the elementary. We are pushing for classroom libraries. At the same time, if we don't have enough books, we have sufficient books in our libraries right now. So when I say sufficient books, it doesn't mean that we have all the books in the world, so we can always come back and look at our budget and keep in mind that libraries is something that we can always invest in. So here for our parents is we have come to know that even with COVID, we became really good with Google, Zoom, and every other social media out there. So we are going to be launching what we call our social media platform also for libraries. So we have that component that we're going to be having our parent resources and challenging them in reading. But we want for the parents to also just be aware of also some library social media program that we're going to have for them to be able to do at home virtually, and they will carry a library with them at all times. Through social media, we will be pushing out on a regular basis the book of the week, and also just work that is going on around the school district. And so that's pretty much it when it comes to our library. Hear me read. So, Ms. Ida Sadolkin, you always your smile. Other than that, does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Are we able to donate books to schools? I know, and I was gonna ask, I know you guys did a thing on the elementary, that had the book exchange. Are we able to donate books and stuff to them?
Yes, we have had books donated, and then they just go through the same process of getting inventoried, and then we went ahead and send them out for circulation.
I have tons of bookshelves. The kids are all moved on, so I mean, I have like 8 boxes at the house so far. Just through
Yes.
middle school type books, book fairs. We'd rather have spent money on those than, other stuff,
Yeah,
so.
they're all welcome, every
Okay.
single book.
Which elementary was it that does
The little
on the
house,
website?
the little,
Yeah, yeah.
we did have, I think it was a majority of them, the ones were from 410, inside 410 Loop. We were building little houses, the little library houses.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're talking about? Where they had the exchange?
Those- Okay.
Yes. So we can definitely give you more information.
Okay.
And then we can tell you exactly where you can drop them off.
Okay.
But yes, thank you so much.
That was the young man who was working with the
Yes.
Yes.
who kind of led that effort, in the presentation here. And there was one on the corner right here, I see a couple.
Yeah, there are
I've seen
several of
one,
them.
yeah, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fucking good.
So yeah, we probably need to kind of resurface that and kind of put
Mhm.
excitement around the opportunity. I know they're still there, I see them.
I do want to say that our second grader, my grandbaby, that she's doing virtual, but I explained to her mom how, I guess her teacher taught her how to tell, like if she doesn't know one word, then it's a certain level. If she doesn't know 2 words, it's a certain level. I guess there's like 4 levels. So the second grader taught her mother how to assess her reading based on what the teacher taught her.
Awesome.
So I was like, wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
For them to take ownership of their own, where they're at and where they need to be and where they want to be.
Right.
And to be able to self-assess that way is amazing.
Yeah, so we're really excited with this. With Accelerator Reader, we're putting together also like a district, a night of recognition. And so that's coming around in April. So we'll be bringing that information to the board as well. We want to just really not use this opportunity in order for us to just really just celebrate the awesomeness and the great things that the kids can do with reading.
Sounds good.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Good one.
Update?
Yes, for item C, we have, we're asking an update from Capstone Project. We have Lily Aragon, who is our executive director for secondary ed, and Mr. Ray Schaefer, who is our principal at Capstone High School, and I believe they're going to kind of give us an updated presentation about Capstone High School to date, where we are, what does it look like in all grade levels. As you know, this is our first coaching graduating class of Capstone High School coming up this June. And so building, and pretty exciting stuff. So I'll turn it over to the lead and to Reve.
Good afternoon, Board President Vasquez, board members, and Dr. Verstip. Castem High School has been working since day one, since we had Ms. Schaefer join the team. And so we've been meeting with various stakeholders to include CNI. We've been meeting with the program advisory team, Castem Network, our partners with PAC, just to name a few. And so they've been working to really enhance the 4 programs of study. So we're here today to give you an update on the celebrations at Castem High School, also some program updates, and then also to look at some future plans. So I'm excited to introduce Reve Schaefer, our Castem High School principal. Also, I wanted to also just make sure that Castem does get recognition with Northside opening up their new Cast Teach High School. They actually sent the new principal over to Castem to come and see firsthand to serve as a model for planning here, and also just the different updates that have happened. So I just wanted to go ahead and just recognize Ms. Schaefer and her team. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Vasquez, Dr. Verstep, and board. Thank you so much for including us in the conversation today. We're really excited about what's happening at Castem and wanted to share a little bit about what's going on. So let me start with figuring out how to advance forward on this slide. Got it. My little arrows weren't working. There we go. So one, just to get a vision for our students, this is the first prototype of the graduation gown that Castem is looking at. So we had a couple of our seniors model that for an assembly this year. This is the first draft, but we have a senior traditions committee that we put together. There were 30 volunteers from our senior class that wanted to be a part of that process of establishing and continuing senior traditions for Castem. So these are 2 of our leaders, Natalie Zabeda, who actually plays softball for Legacy High School, and Beto Alvarez, who has designed his own robotic arm. So here are a couple of the things we wanted to share with you. So first, we want to share some celebrations. As you well know, one of the pillars of Castem and the Castem Network is student voice. So we wanted to highlight for you how we are really elevating student voice to shape what happens at Castem. We want to talk a little bit about how our partnership advisory has helped us to reshape programming to serve our students better. And then we want to talk a little bit about what that program looks like in full right now at Castem. So let's start with the celebrations. That's the best part. So our enrollment is 252 right now. And what we're seeing right now is we have about 1/3 of our students that are female and 2/3 that are male. In my dream world, that will be an 80-20 with females leading the world. So that will be a goal for recruitment moving forward. We're really excited about the construction. Thank you, Mr. Crisp, who helped us to shepherd these construction updates on the campus. So on the left side of the screen, you'll notice what the campus looked like when I started early in the fall. So you'll see some red lockers down that hallway. The picture in the middle is what it looks like now. So those lockers have been taken out, the walls have been redesigned, and there's now a bench by every classroom, a whiteboard, and also a bulletin board for every single teacher in every single classroom. So this is what it looks like now. So our friend Frida, that's a little skeleton that Mr. De Hoyos likes to have out in the hallway, who changes with the season. She's sitting out there on the bench to demonstrate what it looks like. And then the bench on the top right is how our teachers have really helped to shape the space to make it welcoming for our students. And there is a different version of that for every classroom. Down the bottom right, we have new tiling in the front entrance to Castem. So as soon as y'all can come out, we'd love to have you so you can see it firsthand and enjoy our students firsthand. So it now looks a little bit more like what a college might look like in the lobby area, and our students love that space. You'll see them studying there or waiting there after school, before school. So it's become a space they just really like to hang out in. Before this, they would sit on the floor. And so now we have really good space for them to enjoy. So summer construction is done. We're so happy. This summer, we also are celebrating that we're the only campus so far in the district that has offered credit acceleration in the summer. And this year, we had students taking Spanish, PE, and geometry to accelerate their instruction to create space for their program. So we had several students on campus all summer long. And then this summer, August, during Summer Bridge, our students were preparing for TSI. It's predominantly focused on students who are freshmen coming into the program for the first time, but we do offer it to every grade level. So depending on what students need to do, we capitalize on that time to help support our students with preparing for TSI or SAT prep. If there's credit recovery that's needed, we really are using that opportunity to bridge from last year to this year, which is great for our kids, and we'll always do it and offer it to every student. This summer, we experienced about 10% of our students who had an internship. You'll see that there were 21 summer internships served. So our students were making somewhere between $12 and $15 in their internship. You'll see all of the partners, some on our advisory and some just great partners who offered an internship. We had students who were in that internship from June through the beginning of August, which was great. We did have some students who had more than one offer for an internship. Was really one of the first tough challenges that some of our juniors and seniors had to face. That's a real world challenge right there. And so we supported our students with making a decision about which internship they wanted to experience. So it's nice to start with 10%, but I'd like to see 100% of our students have an offer in the future. So that'll be a goal moving forward. We're really celebrating leadership in the CAST network. Our CAST-STEM senior, Christian Young, and our CAST-STEM teacher, Mr. De Hoyos, served as the director and the writer for Tafoya Toro. So Christian is brilliant and creative and a wonderful musician. He and Mr. De Hoyos worked together with a team of CAST network artists to design the play version of the Tafoya Toro book. And so they brought the book to life. That's the book by Lorenzo Gomez, who formerly of Rockspace and the 80/20 Foundation. So this is a highlight. That was just one of the reports where our students were interviewed. There were others, so there were a couple of other news reports as well that highlighted and caught that story. So we want to talk a little bit about what student voice and choice looks like at CAST-STEM. It's one of our pillars in the CAST network, so creating a space for students to be at the leadership table as many times and as often as possible to help shape what happens at CAST-STEM. So for us, our students, we asked our students all year long what it is that they'd like to see happen on a couple of fronts, and just always invite their feedback to understand how their experience needs to be shaped moving forward, and they have a hand in shaping it. So for some of our students, they shared with us what kind of dual credit they'd like to experience. If they wanted to pivot to a different kind of dual credit experience, we've been able to do that for some of our students, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the program piece here. Our students this summer worked with us as a PBL posse, so they served as curriculum support. They served as a panel and speaker to all of our facilitators who were designing instruction for project-based learning on our campus. And so their voice helped us to know that they wanted more prototyping. So they want to do PBL, but they want to design the product at the end of PBL that comes out to the community. And last year that was somewhat limited. So they did some of that prototyping, and that's great. But we want every kid to experience that over and over again, so there's multiple iterations of learning, so they deepen their rigor and their ability to serve a community member a little bit differently. Many of our students asked for advising around a four-year institution, so we have two really great leaders on our campus. Ms. Hoffman, our counselor, and then Mr. Jimenez came on this summer, who's serving as our SEL counselor, but also brings lots of expertise in college readiness. So both of the two on the counseling team are serving our students with four-year advising, but now we've got partners at UTSA and Texas A&M San Antonio who are also helping our students understand what a four-year experience looks like and how to backwards map to that four-year experience if that's what they desire. So talking to the students is really their superpower on the counseling team and all of us on the campus. But they're really responding to that in a few different ways, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Last year, we had many students ask us, especially seniors who were juniors last year, ask us about individual PBL. Would there be any way we could do individual PBLs on campus? And so we really sat with that for a long time and talked to them about what they wanted to see and what they wanted to experience. So really what our students were talking about was a capstone experience. So like I mentioned earlier, Beto Alvarez was creating a robotic arm since the moment he stepped onto the campus at CAST-STEM. So this year he'll be in a career prep or a practicum of STEM class in the senior year where students will work with a mentor to really deepen their understanding of a passion project. So it might be something that is totally focused in their program of study or something that they're passionate about building. We'll match them up with their mentor, somebody from industry or somebody from college, depending on what the need is, so that they can really develop that capstone project. And so you will see the outcome of those capstone projects at the end of the year when we have a capstone convening. So we're excited to see that shape and move forward all throughout the year. What you see on the screen are a couple of pictures of our PBL posse. So our PBL posse is our students. They name themselves that, by the way. And so you'll see senior Natalie Zabeda on the left. She's working with the senior team, making recommendations about what kind of PBL topics they wanted to pursue. And on the right side, you'll see sophomore through senior students serving as a panel, giving feedback about what they wanted to see in PBL this year. Because of these two conversations that happened this summer, our students have helped to shape the topics differently from 9th through 12th grade. So there's an increase in rigor in project-based learning from 9th through 12th grade, and the topics are a little bit different. But what's really interesting is there's a nice connectedness among each grade level with all of the student feedback around building and around energy. And so we'll talk some more about that as they refine those PBL lessons. But the students have changed the way that we do PBL. It's amazing. The other critical voice on our campus is our partnership advisory. So that consists of college partners, industry partners who serve with us quarterly. They meet with us to talk about what's going on at Capstone, but in between those partnership meetings, there are curriculum support meetings. So we specifically focus on a couple of areas this year, but here are some of the outcomes. So from our partnership advisory, the internships emerged and were offered to our students. Some that didn't ever exist before were offered to our students because of our partnership. One great example of that is Friedrich. Friedrich is a company in town, it's really small, and they created internships for our students specifically when they hadn't had them before. So that is the beautiful advantage of having great partners around the table on the advisory. The other thing our partnership advisory helped us to do was to rethink our programs of study. We just kept talking through the data and the student experience, and we're looking for the stackable opportunities for learning. So what we'd really love to always see is that there is a certificate or certification that happens on the way to deeper and deeper learning. So that's really what we'd like to see for every student. So our partnership advisory helped us to revise our programs and think about what else could happen that would be a great advantage to our students. So I'll talk about that some more here in just a second. The major program revision for us, I would say there are two sides. Of the 4 pathways that previously existed at CASTEM, there are 2 that got a facelift, a big-time facelift. So I'll share that with you here in just a bit. Advanced manufacturing is what we spent the most time on curriculum. Advanced manufacturing is very rigorous math and physics that comes together to make sure you don't blow yourself up on something electrical or something that is built with water compression. You've got to really know math and physics in action to respond to a problem in a very quick learning opportunity. And there's not time to learn it unless you've been on the job to learn it. And so we got some great feedback from our partners around how to revise that program at CASTEM. Palo Alto College is also contributing to our global logistics and supply chain pathway at CASTEM. They have a $175,000 NSF grant, and part of that grant will go to support our professional growth for our teacher. So we have a teacher on campus who is a full-time global logistics professor with Palo Alto College, and so they're contributing to his professional growth. He actually got to experience some new robotic equipment here recently, and then our students have access to be trained by national trainers to support them in what they would really do in a job at Amazon or Target if they were in warehouse management. So they're contributing quite a bit of dollars to help support our program in growing and expanding. So let's talk about those program updates I've been alluding to. So the very first thing is, we're a high school, right? So the very first thing is that kids need to graduate from high school. That's always our first priority every single day. The second thing that's a priority for us as a team is that we want to see career and technical education completers. And so what that looks like is that there's a level 1, 2, 3, and 4 course that's offered in a program of study. So for example, if that's advanced manufacturing, that our students have a level 1 through 4 course experience on the high school side that allows them to be a completer. So if you are a completer, what that means is you've got a lot of CTE experience happening on the campus, and you're learning in very relevant ways every single day. That allows us to earn a little more than 35% more in funding back to the district to help support CTE programs of study. So our goal is to get completers. Completers who complete that entire program of study. We're additionally blessed in that those courses our crosswalk to a college dual credit course. So our students get two things. They get college credit and high school credit in the same class experience in a given year. So it's a double blessing for our students. So we want to keep them successful and moving forward. So our goal is to get a completer status for every single student. The second version of that is a concentrator. So if students have 2 to 3 courses in CTE, they can be considered a concentrator. For our students, every single student will be a concentrator, but we're seeking to get that completer status. So that's a couple of things to know. So I mentioned a little earlier the experience of having a Capstone Project. So the way that we're doing that at Capstone is that level 4 CTE course that's being offered is a career prep or a practicum in STEM. It's depending on their pathway that they've chosen. And essentially, students will get essential skills training directly from our teachers on campus, from our industry partners. They'll work on their Capstone project in that space, and they'll also have the opportunity to serve an internship. So they'll be working with a company that's in their program of study or in their passion that they desire around STEM. So that's a revision for us. The other couple of things that we've offered, there are a couple of programs that do not have a level 1 certificate associated with them, so it's not a stackable. So we're creating our own version of that. Based on what our partners from industry said to us, they asked us to think about having an OSHA 30 training. That is, so a lot of our students at CASTEM earn the OSHA 10, and we refer to that as baby OSHA, because it's great and it's accomplishable by high school students. OSHA 30 takes a real investment of time. Part training in our staff, thank you to CTE team who's supporting our staff in being trained, and they can train anybody in the district, which is wonderful. So our students, when they are done with their OSHA class with Palo Alto College, they will also have OSHA 30 certificate as well. So our partners were very happy to hear about that. And then we've got CPR certified folks, an additional couple of CPR certified folks that our students will have access to be CPR certified as well. An additional blessing. Takes time away from an industry member if they have to invest time in making that happen in a company. They're going to come all ready to work or ready to learn and work at the same time from CASTEM. So when we last talked about a year ago, I think we might have been virtual at that time, this is what the programs of study look like for CASTEM. So advanced manufacturing technology, the end goal for Palo Alto College is an Associate of Applied Science. For engineering, which is the next column over, that's a very academic approach to learning with Palo Alto College. So it's very heavily dual credit, that's core content dual credit, English, math, science, social studies, government, speech, the foundational core dual credit. And the end goal for Palo Alto College is an Associate of Science in Engineering Technology. For global logistics, that's a stackable experience at Palo Alto College. So there is the opportunity to earn the level 1 certificate, which most of our students do by the time they are juniors. And then there's an opportunity to earn an Associate of Applied Science in Global Logistics and Supply Chain, which shows you really that stackable experience for our students. So you can kind of see Power and Energy only offers a level 1 certificate. So that's all that's offered through Power and Energy, which is now known as renewable energy. So that one is not stackable. It could help get a student launched into their community college experience and then onto a 4-year experience, but it's not a stackable experience. So we wanted to create some of that stackable experience so that our students are celebrating all along the way what they're doing, and they have benchmarks along the way that show that success that they've been working so hard on. So this is representative of the redesign. So I mentioned renewable energy previously, and renewable energy won't be supported after a couple of years at Palo Alto College anymore. Plus, we have freshmen and sophomores that have not requested to be a part of that pathway. All of our seniors, juniors, and sophomores that have been working in that pathway, or excuse me, seniors and juniors who've been working in that pathway, they will be the last at CASTEM to experience renewable energy, which is just fine. Our sophomores and freshmen did not desire that pathway. They really are almost equally divided into the 3 that you see up at the top here. So if we go from the middle, engineering is the predominantly academic dual credit experience at Palo Alto College. What we learned from that is that our students who know they want engineering, they come to CASTEM and that's really what they want. So we place them in the engineering pathway when that's really their passion and desire at the high school. And really what happens in that pathway is you are really working on transferable dual credit that you can transfer to any Texas school. So that's really what we've been working on at CASTEM. So we want it to be both applicable and transferable. So that's where a revision is coming. I'll show you that here in just a second. On the left side, you'll see advanced manufacturing technology. The AMT program is a very rigorous program, and not all students have qualified for all courses, nor are all courses always available from Palo Alto College. So we really worked with our industry partners to ask them for insight. So we have Toyota, Guthrie & Son, HEB, who are some of the top leaders in AMT in this county anyway, and beyond. We asked them for some insight about what can we offer our students if there's not a stackable credential and the associates is not necessarily realistic for our students. What is realistic for our students? So our industry partners reminded us that Texas Spain is a great option for our students. So we spend our time preparing our students with the math and science that they really need, deepen their rigor and deepen their understanding of that math and science so they are ready for an AMT program. So our industry partners advised us around 3 dual credit experience courses that they wanted to see in students so that they could put our students front of the line for Texas Spain. So Texas Spain is a 2-year program, and our students earn an internship. They are paid, they're in an internship for 2 full years, and they complete the associate's degree with St. Philip's College. Palo Alto College is looking to become a part, but they aren't right now. So right now, our students would be a first in line, side by side with Alamo Academies, to be eligible for Texas Spain. Texas Fast is the other program. That's a shorter program. That's more of a career training program. So in 9 weeks, students would be eligible to serve as a technician at a place like Toyota, for example, which is the dream of many of our students. So depending on what their dream is, we will show them these opportunities and help them get to the front of the line of whichever opportunity matches their desire and their need. Students who are in AMT that really want that core academic dual credit experience, some of them have pivoted over to the engineering pathway, which is just fine. It's dual credit, they're still moving forward, but it fits the passions that as they have changed in high school. On the right side, global logistics. I would say this is a pretty successful program that we are engaged with as a partner with Palo Alto College. They, as you saw, are contributing lots of dollars and continue to seek grants for global logistics and supply chain to support our kids and support our teacher. That is a winning combination for our partnership with Palo Alto College. So we'll continue working in that vein through global logistics. We really have a champion. Mr. Ronnie Brandon is a champion of CASTEM students and talks to Target and many other industry partners in the county that would love to have our kids come and be a part of their organization. So he really celebrates our kids in all the public spaces possible. So that's a winning combination. So where we think a good redesign can come for our students is in working with a new partner and some of the core dual credit offerings that are eligible for our students. So what we'd like to do is continue working on our partnership with Texas A&M San Antonio, which I mentioned about a year ago, talking about how we began that conversation. What they would like to do, since we've last talked, Texas A&M San Antonio would like to credential our staff. So it would be the first high school that has staff that would be credentialed for dual credit by Texas A&M San Antonio. So we're looking to build the model together so that we can have credentialing of staff at CASTEM. Our students tend to do much better with our staff on campus with access to all of our wraparound supports to our students on campus. So that's a winning combination for us. Texas A&M San Antonio has a 92% success rate in their dual credit experiences with high schools. So we'd like to see that level of success for our students with a partner as well. We're lucky that Texas A&M San Antonio already has institutional investment on our campus. We have a professor in residence program with TAMUSA, and because of that, we have a professor on site 2 to 3 days every single week. We get 7 interns who are in their first or second year as a future teacher. And so thus far, we have 7 each year, since I've learned and then have been here. We've hired 5 of them over the last 2 years. So it is truly a pipeline. They learn about PBL, they help co-design PBL, they learn what STEM is on our campus, and they learn what it means to be a good partner and how to build and design innovative programs. So it is such a winning combination for us that that professor in residence would serve as a support for our credentialed staff of the future. One of the things that we learned from Palo Alto College is that they don't intend to continue contributing to a couple of the program areas. And because of that, we want to make sure that we have relevant learning experiences for our students. Engineering is one of those areas. We want to have 21st century learning for all of our students. So because their program is relevant and they are already in the Texas A&M College Station network, that's where a lot of our kids dream about going for engineering. We want to make sure we're building the right pipeline for our students to be where they want to be once they graduate from CASTEM. And then A&M San Antonio has an incredible series of wraparound supports from social emotional learning to disability student services to academic preparation. And they have such a high success rate that we can't deny that that would be a great partnership for our campus and for our district. So we're looking to build a couple of models with them that they don't yet have. I'm always happy to pilot something that's going to be great for our kids. So we'll be doing that with Texas A&M San Antonio. So that is where we are currently. And so we've got some revisions, some things that our students have helped us to know about our campus, and we are responding to that by reshaping how they experience life at Capstone. Thank you very much for the
Thank you,
opportunity.
amazing. I
Oh, that
love it.
was a very good presentation, very informative, and, a lot of information in a short time. Thank you.
Yes, sir, and we're happy to have y'all come out anytime and experience our kids in action and see what the programs look like from a student experience. So thank you so much for having me, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I just want to commend, Revee's come over to Southwest, and she's just been a great steward and a advocate for our youth and for that campus, and really making some strong alliances with industry partners and our higher education partners. And I know I met a student there the other day, and I'll share that with you guys, a sophomore who came to us from Medina Valley. Let me say that again, from Medina Valley. And he took the time to say, I finally found the school I was looking for. And I never really kind of fit in, but when I got here in a week, I said, this is my school. And that's just those are the types of igniting things you want to see going on. So yeah, you've done a great job, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
And your
Appreciate it.
staff and your parents and students. It's really just a great place to be a student.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have
I
a
got,
great
I
team.
got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
One of them was, how do you see CASTEM being equitable to the other CASTEM schools?
In any particular area?
These are coming from like students and parents. I was like, well, okay, these are mind blowing, and I don't even have the answers for them. I hate to hit you like on the side, but you don't even have to answer them.
Sure.
I just wanted them to get to you, and you can answer back to me, and I'll send them out later.
Absolutely.
Another thing is, one thing is being the first class coming into 95 students, they were first started, it was like 145, I believe, students ever, and then they
On record, it was 136. That was
136?
kind of the ending.
yeah, so we had a starter with 136 seniors, and then going down. I want to know how we're going to help improve the enrollment. I know we're going after the STEAM program to help improve that program, just to get more relevance on how that's going to relevant to the future of the school. That was one of the things that was asked about, how we're going to bring that. I could bring up in another meeting. And then being that they're seniors, they want to, some of the seniors want to know if the predominant, what is it called? Traditions. How are they going to come up with these traditions? Because I already had a student said that they snuck, I hate to say it, but it's just, they snuck into one of the Southwest's traditions of going to watch the sunset with them, and they felt like they miss out on those kind of things. So I just don't want those kids that struggle to go, like those 95 that push through those 4 years to make sure they receive the same kind of, try to receive those kind of traditions as another school would.
Absolutely. So if I could have just a couple of minutes, I'm happy to answer a little bit of what I have now, and then I'm happy to go back and get some more. So on equity is a pillar with the CAS network, so equity is a focus. And it's true among all the CAS schools. So we are now a place where new CAS network schools or emerging CAS network schools are coming to see what it looks like to learn in a CAS school, or what's possible. And we've actually had some non-CAS schools come in as well. So we've had South San come in, Edwards come in. They want to see what PDL in action looks like. They want to see what a campus looks like. So as far as equity, that's a focus. It's a pillar of the CAS network. So it'll always be something that we're striving for. That is something I advocate for. I know that that's something that we talk about all the time, Dr. Verstup and myself. So in the network, that's a focus all the time, every day. And I'm going to ask for what our kids need every single day of the week. Same within the district as well. And I really appreciate that all of the senior staff ask the question. If we're talking about Southwest, if we're talking about Southwest Legacy, we're also talking about Southwest CASTEM. So it's really nice to have that community that's wrapped itself around within senior staff and then beyond. So that's very helpful. On the recruitment side, we are never not recruiting. I'm always recruiting. Those of y'all that know me see me in green and lime green most of the time because I want to make sure our brand is out there, our ambassadors as well. It is an area we will always have to focus on and always have to grow. We do have the benefit of the CAST network building out a dashboard to show us where our kids have come from and where kids are interested. And so we have data to help support us in where we place our marketing. And so this year we placed it in 4 hubs that really were kind of the nexus points of where the majority of our kids have come from. My recruitment challenge will always be if I am a person of tradition and my parents went to Southwest or my parents love Legacy, then that will always be our challenge. And it's not a challenge, it just means there's 3 great high school learning opportunities within Southwest ISD. So it has to be a right fit. I always tell kids to try on CASTEM, stay here for a while, try it on. You really have to fit your high school and see how it feels. And if you try it on and it doesn't fit, probably isn't a right fit for you. And that's okay, because there are really 3 great options in Southwest ISD to go to high school. So then the other thing that you mentioned, senior traditions. So I feel so strongly that senior voices should be a part of shaping those traditions. We had some seniors attend Senior Sunrise at Southwest and Senior Sunrise at Legacy. They felt called to participate, and so they will have a hand. Some of those same kids that I know attended will have a hand in creating those traditions at CASTEM. They will be the voice that helps to shape. When we did our application for Senior Traditions Committee, every single kid, there were 30 kids that applied, every single kid had a tradition that they already wanted to bring to the table and lay out. So with that team, we will build out a calendar of senior activities for the year, but we're also coordinating with Southwest High School and Legacy to make sure that we understand their traditions in case our kids want it and don't know yet that they want it because they didn't ever attend those 2 schools. So we can bring those forward so our kids can decide what they really want to experience. So my goal is to always to listen to you, obviously, listen to our students every single day and get those things in place so that they can have the experience of high school that they deserve.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the timeline for our current 8th graders to start applying to go to Capstone? When
Great
does that
question.
start?
I will close our current application at the end of September and open up a new one on October 1st. We still have people that apply up through even this week. And so I'll close that out and then open for October 1st. So they can start applying October 1st and we'll start accepting them throughout the year.
So any 8th grader can start that?
Yes,
process?
ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. And I'll be happy to share that back out again.
awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll make sure we include social media and communication plan around that. And I think as Mr. Bernal mentioned, we're trying to create a pipeline through our STEAM Academy up into our Cascade High School. And we think that's going to pay dividends in the future as well.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. Appreciate you.
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Maybe take for this one. Lloyd, how much time do we need for this one?
I think that last one, Francis, how much time do you need? Was it 5 minutes?
I can do 5 minutes.
Okay,
This is just,
okay. I have to be somewhere at 1:30 and I know Ida needs to leave
Can you
too.
give us 5?
Yes,
Francis is good, she's 5 minutes good, and she's good in an hour.
I believe Francis.
So I know the idea here is we're trying to evaluate, this is our continuation along how do we evaluate folks and how do we let folks know where they stand within
Yes.
our mantra, we are Southwest, our commitment to results, service, and growth. And so this, Francis has really come on board and seen this as a focus point that folks here at Central Office, professional or support staff, that our tools may not have been commensurate to their job. And so she has worked with a task force to kind of really look at that and come up with a plan. So this is just kind of a first blush with that. And then we'll keep bringing it back to the board as we ask you to approve the instrument in the future.
Okay.
So that was a nutshell of exactly what I'm about to say. So you all will recall that we have commitments here, commitment to growth, commitment to service, commitment to results. Those are our categories under that commitment, and then under each we have indicators and kind of role-specific behaviors that we ask everybody to do. Except, you see that I gave you a copy of our old evaluation system as a standalone. It doesn't ask you if you do any of those things. So what we are doing is evaluating people differently than what we're asking them to commit to or actually do. So what our task was to take a look at our historical practices and see what are we evaluating people on, how many times do we evaluate them on. We have rebuilt the ones for principals. We have a new system from TEA called T-Test for Teachers that we utilize, but yet we haven't looked at what we do here at central office for anybody here. So we decided to design a committee to align our work. So that's really the goal of this, to make sure that our evaluations talk about the commitments and the role-specific behaviors that we ask everybody to do. Basically, the commitments are not going away, it's the Southwest way, and now we're gonna monitor, provide feedback, and align all of our work together. We started with the end in mind. We took a look at all of the evaluation systems and tools that we already had in place, and then we started asking ourselves, which one of these commitment indicators and categories actually talk about the work we do here at central office? There are a lot of commitments that talk about things like, did they clean the bus? Did they do something for our school climate? Those things don't affect us here, but a lot of the indicators do. So we started creating a rubric of sorts to help people figure out what it is that we are requiring them to do and how we evaluate that system. We decided to do a draft system that looks very much like the T-test system that teachers have. And this is what it looks like now. So if you can compare our old system that are just bullet dots to this one helps the supervisor actually be able to indicate the difference between a developing and a meets expectations. So what is the behavior that you need to see? How many times do you need to see it? And this allows people who are new supervisors, people who are existing supervisors to be able to provide feedback to that individual so that they can have growth. If you're developing an area, the way you move to meets expectation is by doing this behavior more. And so it's very specific. It goes through all of our commitments, growth, service, and results, and it actually gives them specific behaviors. On the top, in the black, you'll see what we call our leadership categories, which is leader of self, leader of others, leader of leaders, and leader of organization. And those help define the work. If you are a rock star employee and you do everything we ask you to do, you meet expectation. To be above that, you must show leadership above and beyond what we ask you to do. And that's the same way it is in T-Test, the same way it is for principals. Meets expectation means you follow your job description to the T. To be a leader of leaders and leader of organization, you go above and beyond, and then we denote that and we take documentation for that. So we went into the drafting. Cycle, and we had about 43 leaders from operations, business and finance, and AHR come together and really go through the wording and how we would utilize this tool, how we would train this tool, and what each of the indicators and the rubric means to them, and if they could use it in their work. And right now, we are ready to pilot it in business and finance, operations, and AHR. C&I is beginning their work on this process, and then hopefully by the time we come back in September for the board meeting, we'll have more information for you on that. After we finished the professional one, we went into the paraprofessionals because the leaders liked it so much, they wanted to use the same rubric for their professionals. These are non-instructionals here at central office. The biggest thing they wanted was documentation and feedback. Not just one time at the end of the year, they wanted to have it throughout the year and help them set goals to become better at what they do. This is the paraprofessional one, and the only thing that you'll see different on that one is really that you do not see a distinguished because the scope of the work and the functionality of what a paraprofessional does is different than what a professional does.
Right.
And so that's really the difference on this one, and there's a couple indicators that are removed, but all the rest of them are the same. Our big takeaway is everybody needs goals. Whether you're a paraprofessional or professional, everybody in the district should have goals and the opportunity to be coached and trained in being better. This one just talks about what our old system was and what our new system is, but I'm not going to read that to you because I know you guys already received all that. And our big thing is we want people to understand their why. Why did they do their job? Why did they get their score? How can they change and what makes it different? And the only way to do that is provide them more feedback in their evaluation. That's it.
This is wonderful. This is great framework.
I really like that, what it is and what it is not. Is everybody seeing that? I mean, I think that ought to be posted in everybody's desk. Yeah, I really like that.
Francis, is there an opportunity for the employee to give us feedback on this? Or is there a way for us to receive back information from them?
We sent the first draft to the paraprofessionals one, and we received feedback. The professionals one we have on chart paper, we did gallery walk. And now, before we send it out to everybody, we're going to do a corporate survey so that everybody can compare the two, so that we can receive feedback and I can provide that information to you.
Right, but I'm talking about the tool itself. You know how when you give someone an evaluation, I worked in companies where then they would ask me, what can I do better? How can we do better on this end to help you achieve this? But that was part of the tool, is that?
On this part of the tool, we do have other paperwork that goes along with the tool to help people.
Give us
the
feedback.
process. Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is
Lloyd?
great.
Dr. Russo? I'm assuming the ones that say gym are volleyball games? And we only have one football game this week?
No, I think it's written wrong, sir.
Okay, we'll throw it away.
There is football, actually today, there's home versus Southwest Legacy in volleyball. That's the block of Southwest Legacy. And then on the 10th, which I believe is Friday, correct?
Yes.
Is Medina Valley will be playing Southwest High School at Southwest Legacy because of our gym conditions. And that same night, it looks like it's football, South Bend versus Southwest High School. And then Southwest Legacy High School versus Floresville at Floresville. It looks like the Southwest High School game is a home game, which should be at Southwest High School football season. So I apologize for that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not completely confused.
awesome.
Yeah, it's confusing, but I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is what's on our calendars correct? Our Google calendars?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes, it's correct.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. Oh, we got them in, oh, yes, I see it. Thank you.
You have one more thing?
That's it.
Okay, this meeting is, anybody have one more thing? No?
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
this meeting is adjourned at 1:00.